Welcome to a tour of my room. First off, this is not usually how neat my room is. I have tidied it up for you guys. So to start off with, this is my table. The table is one of the most important aspects of having a functional computer room. This one is very strong and solid, and it has a good depth and breadth. As you can see, it's quite deep. Here is my keyboard. This is a SteelSeries 7G that I've only had for about a couple of weeks. The SteelSeries 7G is a mechanical keyboard. It uses silent cherry black switches, which I believe are rated for about 50 million key presses. It connects to the computer via a PS2 connection, which is pretty old school, but the advantage of that is that it has N-key rollover, which basically means you can press all the keys on the keyboard at once, and the computer will register them all. In my opinion, after using this keyboard for the past couple of weeks, I believe it is a solid performer. The key presses, they feel good, and it's quite responsive for gaming, but I wouldn't use it to type on, mainly because of the very small backspace button. As you can see, the SteelSeries 7G has a very large wrist rest, and I really like it that way because it does prevent wrist strain. It is, however, detachable, so if you wish to, you can remove it and use the keyboard with a wrist rest, but I don't know why anyone would, because the wrist rest just makes it so much more bearable to use. Next up is my mouse. It is a Microsoft Wheelmouse Optical. It is extremely cheap, and I picked it up for about $10 off of eBay. I use it because it is the mouse that I grew up with as a kid, and after using many other gaming mice, I always find that there is something about this mouse that makes it a joy to use. The brushed aluminium sheet serves as my mouse pad, and it comes from the side panel of an old Lian Li case that I had given to me. The surface is very smooth, but allows the tiniest mouse movements to be detected. It's nice and heavy, so it doesn't move while I'm gaming, which is a plus. Here is my screen. This is a LG W2442PA, and it is a 24-inch panel. The resolution of the panel is 1080 by 1920, and in my experience, it's a very responsive LCD panel for gaming. Of course, it is a TN panel, but what it lacks in image quality, it makes up for with quick pixel response times, and is more than adequate to game on. It can also be adjusted in almost any direction. The stand is very good, and yeah, I just find it a very nice monitor to use. Here is my desktop lamp. The desktop lamp has a very important role. Its role is to provide mood lighting. The light that comes from this lamp is very warm and comforting, and allows me to sit at my computer for extended periods of time. Next is my desktop DAC, preamp and headphone amplifier. This particular model is the Newforce Icon HDP. It takes a TOS digital signal from my motherboard SPDIF out and converts it into an analog audio signal, which is then sent to my amplifiers or my headphones. The headphone amplifier, which is built in, is quite good, and is very capable of powering my power-hungry DT990s. The preamp section is then fed into my amplifier. The amplifier is an Emotiva XPA-5 solid-state Class A/B amp. It provides 200 watts of pure unadulterated power into each of the 5 channels that it can drive. This thing really packs a punch, easily powering any speaker that I have hooked up to it. At the moment, I have it hooked up to a pair of Ascension bookshelf monitors that I had custom built for me by Edward of Adelaide Speakers. These are the monitor bookshelf speakers that I was talking about. They are made by Edward from Adelaide Speakers, and they can accept up to 200 watts of power. This is my subwoofer. It is also made by Edward from Adelaide Speakers. It's rated for about 400 watts RMS, but the cone itself is probably rated for much higher. The speaker cone is made out of carbon fiber, and diameter of the speaker cone is about 12 inches. The box itself, as you can see, is quite large and it's fully transmission lined, so when you play something very, very low, it does actually sound quite good. It's not muddy or boomy, it's just really, really tight and packs a huge punch. If I have this up very, very loud, I actually get a little bit sick from the bass energy just thumping my chest, so it is very, very powerful. These are the headphones I use to game with. They are called the Beyerdynamic DT990s, and this particular model is the 600 ohm edition. I got them for the emphasized bass, and they really do deliver on that bass front. The bass that comes from them is quite prominent and well defined, but it is not boomy or muddy like other lesser headphones such as the Monster Beats, which I absolutely detest. The mids are recessed, so they don't really stand out much, but the treble is very piercing, so if you're listening to a piece of music that has like lots of cymbals or lots of high frequency effects, they can get quite annoying after a while. However, I have gotten used to this and it does not become an issue for me anymore. In a couple of days I will be getting the Beyerdynamic T1s in the mail, so watch out for a review of those when I have them properly burnt in and everything, so watch out for that. But in the meantime, these have been serving me quite faithfully over the years, and I really can't fault them. They're a really good pair of headphones. The comfort on them is really, really, really good. I have not worn a more comfortable pair of headphones, so even if you didn't really like the sound, just get them for the comfort factor, because you can have these on your head for hours and you don't even feel like they're there. Last but certainly not least is the computer. As you can see, the computer is housed in a Fractal Design XL case. This case is the largest case that Fractal Design actually offer, and it promises silent operation and compatibility with all motherboards form factors. In reality, due to the hardware setup I have inside, it is not silent at all, and it's quite noisy. Opening up the side panel, you can see I have replaced the 5¼ inch optical drive bays with SATA backplanes. These SATA backplanes are filled with 3TB drives. As you can see, I'm about to open the backplane so you can see exactly what it looks like. So each one of these backplanes has a 3TB Seagate drive in it. At the moment these aren't turned on because this is my backup array, and I don't turn them on until I do a weekly backup. That just slides in like that, lock it in place. Yeah, so you can turn it on using these buttons here, and it does look quite cool, but it is very, very noisy. That's why I don't have it turned on. So each one of those has a 3TB drive in it for a grand total of 18 TB of usable space. I have these set up as a RAID 0 array, even though I know it's got not very much redundancy, but being a backup array and also being not turned on doesn't really matter. Opening up the side panel of the case, you can see I have absolutely no cable management and everything is very messy. But I don't care because it works, and well, yeah, it works. First off, the motherboard is an old ASRock Extreme 3 Gen 3. The CPU is a 2500K and everything is stock about it. Also, the memory is the cheapest 8GB modules that I could find. The graphics card is an AMD HD 7970, which is stock clock and also stock cooling. Everything in my computer is stock standard, and I don't really bother about overclocking or anything like that. The card you see below the graphics card is an Arica 1882iX RAID/SAS card. It performs the RAID parity calculations for the 10 Seagate 3TB drives I have connected to it. In total, I have about 48 TB of physical drives, but after formatting I have about 22 terabytes of usable space and 18 terabytes of backup space. The performance of the RAID 6 array is more than adequate for use as a FRAPS drive, which I do use it for, as well as a scratch disk for editing videos. It also hosts most of my multimedia collection, and this is served to the rest of the computers on my network. Yeah.